Staying with News Diary. Now, it's about that time when we cross over to our sister station. I'm talking about Spice FM, where they're having a conversation on abductions and the extrajudicial killings that we've witnessed in the past 2 weeks or so following the anti-finance bill protest. So let's just cross over live. They're actually speaking to Hussein Khalid, who is the CEO, Voice of Community Activists and Leaders of Africa. That is Vocal Africa. Let's listen in.
Inclusion in governance processes, inclusion in economic processes, so that they can be part and parcel of this country. And this is their country. Okay. They're not just the future, they're also the present. And let me just say this. Once you withdraw the bill, and then you come back to Kenyans and tell them, I have withdrawn the bill. Now this is what I will do. We will reject that.
Okay.
No matter what it is.
But Hussein, let's be fair. There's a process. So there's an appropriations bill that now needs to be amended to reflect the new reality.
Correct.
Remove money from here, First Lady's office, ensure that there's more money in the areas that people want.
Correct.
The process for that is a proposal by the executive. So this is what we propose then to do with the budget. It goes to Parliament. And then Parliament opens up the window for the citizens then to engage. And this is the level of engagement. And the engagement can be, everything that has been brought by the national executive can be rejected and amended in totality.
Exactly.
So there's a window and it's still open. And
Definitely.
it is provided for in law.
In law, in the Constitution.
It would be unfair to say
yes,
that the executive is doing so gang-ho without they're doing what they're expected and supposed to do. To
public participation is a constitutional requirement. And this is what we are driving at. If you go through those processes without involving the people, without involving the Gen Zs for now, I mean, they are a representation of the masses, you know, then it will be rejected. So what we are saying is, whatever the state intends to do, you see, they've already written letters to county governments. That's like a decision being executed already, that we will cut down. How did we participate in that? You tell me, how did they come back to the people and say, so we've rejected this? But you already, you know, governors are already complaining. I think it was Anyang' Nyong'o who said rejecting the finance bill should not be a weapon to now cut down county government.
But again, even if there's a letter that has been written to the governors, it's still a proposal.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The law has not been amended.
Yes.
The Division of Revenue law has not been amended. The proposal is we are going then to have to relook at the Division of Revenue. And it's important for the governors to be made aware because the Division of Revenue bill is a negotiation. And they have to be told, please be prepared. We have to actually have another conversation and maybe a negotiation. So there's nothing illegal that happens out of tune.
Yeah, what needs to go out to these leaders is that those in government, the president, you know, and everyone else, is that you need to be deliberate in your intention, in the minimum, to involve the people. Those letters are absolutely unnecessary, if you ask me. We know, I mean, that's the law. You have to go through that. But at this point in time, for me, like the opportunity, I mean, first of all, congratulations. You are very, very clear, concise to the president. I think the interview did justice. But this is, for me, that was a moment for him to now reach out. Don't start doing letters or county government will do this. These are our ideas. We're already thinking of this. Before you even start doing that, invite people. Yes, we know for sure. I mean, there were ideas there to collect, was it 2-point-something trillion? And that's all now down the drain, yeah? So how are we going to do this? So before you start writing letters, before you start saying we will cut this, before you start saying we will do this, can we have an opportunity where we allow people to talk? It's the idea. It's not really the legal aspect that what processes will we follow. But can we show the masses, the people, that we are now listening? We are not already acting. Yes, obviously we'll have to do all that stuff, but can we at least show the intention? Because even before consulting, you're already drafting letters, sending to county governments, we will do this, we will do that, we are suggesting to do this. With whose involvement.
Okay. How would that involvement look like?
I think that's currently the $1 million question. Because it's very clear the Gen Zs have said we have no leader. And it's true. I mean, I've been to the streets. You can't tell these guys, twendeni left, twendeni right. They are their own leaders. Everyone is contributing. When they say black and white, hakuna mtu amenunua t-shirt za black and white. Everyone just, goes out there and decides this is black and white. So I think that's the $1 million question. But of course, there are ideas here and there of how we could do this. One is the X Twitter space. You could have people, and it can be done at a large scale. At the end of the conversation, you say, okay, guys, we agreed so-and-so will be noting down the key points. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. Do we agree? These are the 4 key points we drive forward. Yes, people on Twitter space says that is agreed. Then we'll take this now to the next level. There are these opportunities in the county governments. They have their own what they call safe spaces where youth meet. They're youth institutions. You can go to them. Ask them, what do they feel? You have universities, you have, places of just hanging out. We have to be creative, if you ask me. But yes, I think this is the $1 million question right now. So how then do you take views and opinions of a group that is leaderless? And anyone who comes forward and says, mimi sijui ndio kiongozi, sijui nini, huyo ni imposter.
But surely, are you suggesting that a movement that has morphed into an extremely effective protest, dates are set, people go out into the streets, people understand that they are not supposed to cause violence, they understand that they must demonstrate everything that could be described as peaceful, and this communication is received by everyone who goes out? It means there are elements of leadership in the process. Now, whether we're talking about traditional leadership who go to Uhuru Gardens to make speeches or Makadara grounds, they are not that. But that they are voices that are dominant and are listened to.
They are influencers.
Yes. Because there are people who fall into this category of Kenyans we're referring to as Gen Zs, who have been opining on things in this country and taking a stand for a long time. And it's on social media. And they're known. Some are less known because some use pseudonyms, but they are known. So they are leaders. However, the thing that is a problem, and is going to continue being a problem for this movement, is that even when people talk about hooligans and thugs, they're also Gen Z. They're also young people.
Kenyans.
Yes, they are. They are. Now, a discussion around why they do what they do and who is to stop them, because if there is communication, and that's where your point may become valid, because if indeed there was leadership in the traditional sense, there'd be someone who would say, look, so-and-so, we have a problem in this area here, we need to put a halt to this, but we don't see that. So you see the free flow. However, let's assume that they are all leaders. So this message would be to all of them. Leadership comes with a heck of a lot of responsibility, especially when you're on a national issue such as the one we're talking about. And at some point, there has to be clarity as to the direction this thing is going to take.
Totally agree. And you know why, in my opinion, this movement or this effort has truly succeeded? It's exactly because of that there are no clearly appointed leaders. Kenya's history is rife with leaders who've been called to State House, wengine wanaambiwa tufanyeni national dialogue. I mean, last year's protests. See, they then appointed, NADCO. I don't know, what's it called? NADCO. What happened? Where is that report? What has come of it?
It's being processed.
You know, it's being processed, really? Exactly.
The NAD didn't call.
Be patient. The NAD didn't call.
So if you ask me, the reason why this one has succeeded is because those in power, those in authority, are not sure of who exactly should I bring
Who
to
they're
the
dealing
table
with.
to quote-unquote bribe, to quote-unquote convince, because you abduct this one, they tell you, oh, you're still leader,
But then
we're still going.
I think, Hussein, this is where now the other problem is.
Yes.
So first of all, I'm increasingly moving away from accepting that this is a leaderless movement and all that. This is a movement that has influencers. Who is it who has influenced people to accept to be in Kunguru today, the black and white? This conversation must have started somewhere, and then it gathered momentum in certain spheres. Then it was accepted widely. There are people who start and they amplify each other's messaging so that people end up, okay, so we are doing Tuesday and we are doing black and white. It has leaders. But even those who are influencers and they know themselves to be influencers do not want to come out as leaders because they do not want that other bit, the responsibility that comes with leadership, what that city has talked about, and the accountability that comes with it. Because it's easy for you to say no, but it is not easy for you to say, so what? Or then what? And to take up that mantle of now guiding your people and saying, guys, this may be a good idea. Because at that moment, when now people start saying, but you're the one who told us,
It's true.
we'll clearly start identifying,
It's true.
you are the one who told us that this has been agreed.
And what next?
And what next? And they don't want to take the responsibility. They are leaders, but those leaders are hiding in the cracks.
I totally agree with you. And in any situation, any circumstance, there are pros and cons of that particular situation, that particular circumstance. I think up to now, we have seen the good side of being a leaderless movement. Yeah. But then that movement has to have clearly set objectives to be achieved. So when it comes to now, okay, what are these objectives? Who decides what the objectives are? When you say you are leaderless, then it's open to everyone and sundry to just, come in and say this. And yes, there may be influencers, they're out there. But one thing is clear is that, and we know some of them have communicated on their spaces, people have tried to reach out to them, they're trying to bribe them, they're trying to call them to the discussion table and things like that. But, they're very clear that, look, I'm not the leader. And as you said, probably people are thinking, I commit and say I will do 1, 2, 3, something goes wrong. And for me, this is good, Latif. I think this is good because even when the protests were called initially, it was reject finance bill, and we expected the usual culprits to go out there to be arrested. But the numbers that poured out to the streets of Gen Zs, no one expected that. No one expected that. And it was like, wow, this is great. And I think the media were very quick in highlighting how they came out. And that also contributed to more and more coming out. And I think it's good to allow this to take its own course. We'll continue this. I know we can't stay like this forever. We won't be protesting for the rest of our lives, for sure.
No.
Yeah, but can we also give this opportunity, this chance, this movement, space to carve itself? We also don't need to force leaders on them. You never know. I mean, something might come out of this. We didn't expect this. Nowhere in the world have young people come forward in this manner. You didn't plan for it. I didn't plan for it. No one planned for it. But it happened. And look at the difference it has made in this country. Other countries now, the youth are now, psyched up, and they're saying, look at what Kenya is doing. We also now want to go to the streets. And let's give it an opportunity to just have its own life. I mean, I don't know who will come tomorrow as an influencer. I mean, it might be KTN that then takes the lead. I mean, you guys were brilliant. Yeah, threats to shut you down and all that. And by the way, I mean, that statement, like, we will not be intimidated. That's quite powerful. And no one planned for it. You didn't think that day you'll come and you'll say that. So my take is, let's not force leaders. Let's not force a form, a structure on this. We are in the process of learning ourselves. I don't know, maybe the next few days may be detrimental to the movement.
Yeah.
It may be positive to the movement. I'm not sure. But can we give it space
We give it time.
for it to...
But as we give it time,
Yes.
is it what you're saying that then the government should not do anything? as
No,
we
no.
give this movement time to morph,
No.
do not come up with proposals of now what to do, where to cut budgets. Do not tell governors, let's have a conversation about the Division of Revenue Act that needs to be amended. Do not have a conversation on the County Allocation of Revenue Act that needs to be amended. Are you saying that?
No, I'm not saying that. Definitely, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is the government should move away from that. We know that's the legal requirement, that you have to engage those.
Yeah.
But be deliberate in reaching out to the people. You will come to that. We know, I mean, whatever decisions are made by you and me down here have to go through those processes. But remember, it is those processes that brought us to this point in the first place. So to avoid a repeat, we'll just be going around in circles. Let's do this the other way now. For now, have that X space. I'm here, because the people did not refuse the X space. It's that he was calling people to his space, and people were telling him, "No, we have our own
come to
spaces.
our space.
You come to our spaces. Don't ask us. I will host State House space. No. We don't want your space." So that's what they were saying, and that's why there were tweets yesterday all over, like, who should host the president? Is it Osama, or is it, so that's the discussion. So go there, be deliberate, let it be seen that, because our MP wenye sasa unataka kuongea na wao tayari wanasalimiwa, no one is even, so then you are going back to that same system.
Structure.
So yes, we know we will need that. By law, you have to follow the law, but can we do it differently right now? So talk to the youth. Say I'm hosting, no, you're not hosting. I'm invited. Ask your people to look for invitations. Say we are inviting the president to Mathare.
Right.
Have we ever had any president in Mathare?
Do you think that usually when we look at, and I keep going back to citizen-centric governance.
Yes. Good. I like
And
that term.
that there are jurisdictions whereby something had to break, something had to crack before they got to that point, whereby today there isn't much that happens from a governmental point of view that does not include the citizens, down to building a road, right? There are jurisdictions that exist, whereby you can go to the very closest level of leadership, and you can have a conversation as though you were having a conversation with a friend, and those things will be taken into consideration. Something had to move or shift or snap in order for that to start being the norm. Do you think that Kenya is at that moment?
Oh, definitely. This is definitely a moment for Kenya, without a doubt. Now, the question is, what next? That is the critical point. Because when we had the Gen Zs, the question was, will he budge when people were out in the streets? First reading, second reading, third, like, really? But eventually, he did not assent to the bill. So the question then is, and this is what I think many people are now thinking, if they were given, we have scholars in this country, we have people who've, studied movements, they're thinking, what would be the best way forward out of this? Because we also don't want to lose the momentum. We have that momentum. And if you are given an opportunity as a scholar, as a journalist, what would be the next best thing? And everyone is thinking, how then do we get to that?
Yeah.
But like I said, citizen-centric, that should be. It may not necessarily be the situation on the ground, because many people, they say, public notice, come to the meeting. And we've seen this in county governments. And then they just have their cronies there, sitting there, because they don't even do enough public. So they say, yes, there was public participation. This is what people said. But we know for a fact that it's not truly the people saying that. How many times have you had, I think it was only in Makueni during the previous governor's Kivutha Kibwana, where they truly had people participation. And people said, we don't want this, we want this. But hizi nyingine nyingi, they sit, they decide, and then they, just have one or two meetings, which really don't represent the masses. So I think the question for me is, how do we truly achieve a citizen-centric governance in this country? That is very important.
I would ask the question to add on to yours. How do we achieve a structured and enduring citizen-centric way of doing things? You see, it's something that cannot be put in a box to say this is it. So it must be subjected to continuous discussion. We talk about it all the time here. The role of the citizen. If you ask me, the real revolution is that these citizens of Kenya have actually realized that they have a role and they are playing it.
True.
And they've also realized they have rights and they're claiming it. You see? So it's a complete shift from the previous reported attitude where they did not want to be involved. They did not see the need. See, now they see the need. Okay? Now, old fogies like myself, unfortunately, we over time, we stop bothering. You see so much, you've seen, you stop bothering. You sort of like find a quiet way of getting along.
Yeah.
And then these citizens come along and they wake you up. And you say, but there's something we must be wary of. We are a country that seems very good at missing and not taking advantage of opportunities that come our way. This is an opportunity.
I totally agree with you.
In 2002, man, did we have an opportunity? We did. We didn't take it.
Yeah.
We have another opportunity. And this one is huge.
Yeah. Massive.
Now, the question is, let the young people who are going about their business go about their business. Now, the other groups, you said you're a millennial. I'm told there's X. Me, I'm not even sure whether I'm Q, whether I'm W. I'm not even sure what it is. But what I'm saying is, it's not as though these other groupings, if we go by the age groups, do not have ideas to contribute. Don't meddle with what these people are doing. Add yours, but have it first.
Yeah.
This is what we want to do. Okay? Because if we don't, then we'll be telling these young people what to do. They don't want us to tell them what to do. They've figured out what they want to do. Let them do it.
They say we are not our parents.
That one, they definitely are not. That one. Ask anybody who has children of that age, they'll tell you they are definitely not us. Yes.
But I've also been in these morgues and the abductions and everything. The fierceness with which these Gen Zs come forward to denounce what is happening, to pay respect to the colleagues who've passed on. There's a huge difference. As I said, we've had
You've
abductions.
been in very many demonstrations.
In many years, 10, 15 years, I mean, I've never seen in a protest someone killed and then colleagues coming to carry you, get the Kenyan flag, drape over you, and they're like singing the national anthem. I mean, we must give credit to this generation. The boldness in which they stand up against, some of these what our generation would call scary situations, and they stand firmly there and say, this is our fallen comrade. We are not leaving the body here. So we must pay respect. And, even the police, when I say sijui ni criminals, ni nini, out of I think I've been in 13 postmortems. 8 are gunshot wounds. And it's not, they say, ni moja alichukua gun and he was shooting all over. Ibrahim, who was buried the other day, 2 bullets through the neck, and they were, see at a angle or what, utasema direct in and out, almost. That's not someone who has started using the gun today.
Somebody knew what they were doing.
2 bullets, unajua hata ukipigwa moja, you'll start falling. But before you hata moja, another one. And it's like,
close range.
And I mean, how do you then just say, one of them alichukua gun and was shooting colleagues? I mean, for what purpose would they do that? But I think President and his team, they have CCTVs, wanasema, and all that. And the funny thing is that they are not shared. So you have this footage and you want to counter whatever is being shown out there. Why don't you share it with the public so that we have this and we know how to tell the
Indeed,
story.
there were people who-
So some of these things, I mean, we hear them, and the killing of Evans, his pelvic bone. Sorry, I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to say those things on radio. Yeah, was fractured. When they opened him up, they said some of the intestines had moved up to the chest. You can imagine the pain this individual was in before dying. And we can't just then say, okay,
can't
forgive and
dismiss it.
forget.
Can't dismiss it.
Yeah,
So
you can't
out-
dismiss that.
Out
yeah.
of the, you say you've attended how many postmortems?
13.
And out of them, how many were gunshot wounds?
Gunshot wounds were 8.
And how about the other 6?
The others is blunt force trauma. Blunt force trauma. Someone was hit, or again, someone might say alianguka, but pia kuanguka does not really cause that kind of damage.
Different
So yeah, I mean, blunt force trauma probably most likely
So was it
he was hit,
clobbering the
clobbering or
rungus?
something like that. Yeah.
Or-
The 5, it's blunt force trauma. So, I mean, if you look at what's happening in the country, and now this is the era of information technology. This information is out there. Everyone has it and can see and can learn how these things happened, and you can't just brush that aside.
Okay.
You can't just brush that aside.
Hussein, we thank you for joining us today. We hope that today will be peaceful. We hope that today we will not see people being taken to hospital with injuries or being taken to morgues dead. We pray that everybody participates in this peacefully. And I hope that, the people who are out there, if there's anybody who's behaving in any manner that appears to be untoward, they can be called out.
Yeah.
Because if there's anyone who's infiltrating, then they should just be called out.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
The police can do better. Definitely did not do their best.
So,
And they can do better.